Hello everyone, this is the in-depth commentary for the Portal inbound TAS, and in this video I'll be going over all the routes and glitches used in the run, and I'll be explaining how they work. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into the video. Right at the start they do sort of a fake wall skip as a joke, and the inputs were directly taken from the advanced TAS, if you didn't notice, or if you haven't seen that video. And then also rebind my movement keys RUSE, so they spell out ruse. And I did actually have an idea on how to do the wall skip, and I should let this say. So the idea was that I would throw this clipboard in the corner, and then I would use this radio, then the clip in this corner, by crouching into it, and sometimes that causes the radio to tilt towards you and you get stuck in it. So what use is the radio getting stuck in yourself? In the source engine, whenever you're stuck in something and then you save and load, I'm gonna pause so I don't hear Gladys talking. So whenever you're stuck in something and you save load in the source engine, you actually move a little bit during the load downwards, and then also you move in the direction of your velocity. So my idea was to get a boost out of the clipboard, and then I would sort of slide out of the side of the vault here, like so. But it ended up being a case that there was actually not a space between this thing and this thing, so I just couldn't do it. Unfortunately, there's a limitation to the clipping thing, where you just can't go through things directly. Like, I can't go through this glass just straight up. I have to enter it from the top, and then I can go out from the side, which is impossible either. So what I tried to do is I just tried to go through this thing, but unfortunately this wasn't actually wide enough. And it's relatively easy to actually get up here, but you can't really get out of here either. You're stuck in between the grating and the bottom of the vault. So unfortunately I didn't get that to work, so I just had to settle for the PDI route. PDI being Portal and Inbounds, the second dip run for the Portal Inbounds category. So if you just smack the clipboard in the radio like that, it clips out sometimes. It happens very rarely, but it does happen sometimes. And then you can wedge that radio in that corner, and then that actually works pretty reliably. And then I can throw the radio so that I can use it later to block the door from closing. The portal will open in 3, 2, 1. So let this play out first, and then I'm gonna break it down. So that was kind of fast. Right at the start, I do a stock launch of the clipboard over here. So that's that crazy speed that I get from the clipboard. And the way it works is, there's two factors at play here. One, which is ABH, which is the main method of movement in the source engine. And the gist of it is you jump backwards to go fast. And the reason it works is because in the older version of Half-Life 2, you could just hold W and jump forwards to go fast, and you would gain speed on every jump. So they tried to fix it by saying that, okay, if you're going too fast, then you won't gain speed anymore. You'll actually get slowed down to your normal jumping velocity. And because of how they implemented the fix, it was actually kind of broken, and if you just turn around in the air, you get accelerated backwards instead of getting slowed down. So it's a pretty simple way to abuse it. And I actually get stuck in this clipboard, so I can chain many jumps in a row while being stuck. So then I launch out with a bunch of speed from the clipboard right here. And then also grab the clipboard so I can use it for another launch later on. And it's also worth mentioning that I do a forwards version of Bunny or ABH there, in which I hold the key S down, which then it's the backwards key, of course, if you don't use WSD. But yeah, since I hold down the S key, it actually accelerates me forwards instead of backwards, and that's called accelerated forward hopping. And The reason why that's not as commonly used as ABH is because if you don't have a lot of speed, you have to tap the S key in order to not lose a bunch of speed. And in general, it's a little bit slower than ABH. And here it's a little bit earlier than this. I throw the clipboard, so it bounces off the door frame and then lands in front of the button there. Then I grab the radio and throw it at the door. And there's also a trick to this radio throw, in which I actually spam the use key right after I throw it, and that makes it go a little bit further. And then I step off the button here at a very specific time, so that the radio gets wedged in the door frame, and it actually has to be slightly tilted for this gap to be large enough for the player to actually fit through. So this radio throw is a lot more precise than you think, even though it looks kind of precise even from just watching the video. But it's actually very precise, and the time to step off the button is tick perfect, which is a 15 millisecond time window. Then I do the stock launch at the clipboard that I placed there. It's kind of hard to see in the video here, but trust me, I do it. Then I just launch into the elevator. And the whole radio thing blocking the door allowed me to go a bit faster because I didn't have to put the cube on the button. Then moving on to chamber 1. There's also a new trick here, which is the cube skip, I guess you could call it. And the start is just the ABH out of the elevator. You can see me do like a left and right strafing motion there. In the Source engine, there's a mechanic called air strafing, if you haven't played any Source games, and it allows you to steer yourself while you're in the air, and it also gives you a little bit of speed. So the fastest way to move is to strafe side to side really fast. So with the TAS tools that we have for this game that you made, you can actually, it's completely automated, so you can just pick an angle and then you can say the game that, okay, go in this direction as fast as possible, and then it's done automatically, which is pretty convenient. So you're gonna be seeing a lot of that during the run. And then I grab the radio from here, and then I do the button glitch. Please place the weighted storage cube on. So there's actually a trick that I found just yesterday, in which I wedge the radio into myself, and then I save and load, which then during the loading screen it actually pushes me off the button. So since the transition happens during the loading screen, the game doesn't notice that I actually stepped off the button, so it remains pressed down. And it looks kind of weird in the video, but that's actually what happens. You can see the button like flash blue for a second there, but isn't exactly representative of what happened in the game, so the video might be slightly off of the actual thing, because it's made from demos, because that's the most convenient way to do high quality Source videos. We just record the segments in demos, and then we put them to video together nicely. And it's also pretty convenient back when segment runs were more popular, because you could have anyone record the segment, and then you could just have the one guy make the video, and then it would look all uniform and stuff. But yeah, the radio is very crucial to this trick. It's what actually makes it work at all. The player doesn't actually move normally during the loading screen, so I have to use the radio to actually wedge myself out of the trigger. This wouldn't work without the radio. The radio is probably the most convenient prop that I found for this, and I think this might be viable for runs, and it does save around 13 seconds, so it might be pretty awful to do actually, but that's none of my fault. And then I do a weird boost out of this portal over here, and don't really know how this worked, but I just paused at a seemingly random time. I was trying to get like a stock launch with the radio, but then I just paused here, and then it gave me like an instant boost for some reason. I have no idea why. And then I just ABH into the elevator. I mean, this is the thing with Source dashing mostly. It's just it's really difficult if you know if you have the most optimized route, because stuff like that can happen. You just get like a weird boost and then it can give you like instant velocity for no reason. So I mean, that's just fantastic if you want to optimize a TAS run, and that I've never seen that before, so it's pretty difficult to reproduce stuff like that. So I'm just glad it happened there, because it saved a little bit of time. But yeah, that's the first map out of the way. Moving on to chamber 2-3. Right at the start, you can see me AVH as fast as possible in the speed trigger, and that makes the door open as fast as possible. And you can also see me there and in 2 places in chamber 1. I actually crouch into an AVH, which is slightly faster than just doing your first jump standing, because when you're crouched, your jumping speed cap is a bit lower compared to standing. So that's why you want to crouch, and right as you get fully crouched, you jump for the maximum velocity. So you get best of both worlds. You get the fast speed from just standing, and then you get the better boost from being crouched. Let this play out, and then I'm going over it in detail. You are now in possession of the aperture science. So that was kind of fast, and there's a lot to explain. Which may, in semi-rare cases, so we'll start from the top. So right at the bat here, I do a launch off of this door, in which I get 1 jump off the ground and then 1 off the door, and then I slope off of the door frame, and I can use that speed and the vertical velocity I get from the door frame to fly over this wall. And then I grab the radio, and then I do a stock launch over the radio, and this is where the out of bounds TAS inputs end and the inbounds portion begins. And I also grab the radio with me here because I want to do another stock launch, and then I grab the portal gun, and then the second stock launch happens there, and then I shoot the portal over here, and then I land on the edge, and then I save and load, which gets me save glitched. And as you can see in the video, save glitch does weird stuff. So I'm gonna have to go pretty in depth on how this works. So as you could see in the video, the basic way, or the most simple way to get save glitch is saving and loading while you're next to your portal. And that separates my camera from my body in speedrunning terminology. And in this case, body means the part where my portals are shot from, and the camera is where I actually see from. So if I shoot a portal here, you can see it lands over there. So how this works is, how the transition works is that whenever you're behind your blue portal, you're in front of the orange, and if you're above your blue portal, you're above the orange. So if you think about it logically from here, it kind of makes sense, right? Like I'm above the blue and to the left. In the orange case, I'm then above it and to the right. So that's how the portal shots work. It's pretty basic, but once you start combining it in different ways, it gets kind of complicated, especially if you can't actually see the portals. So you kind of have to go in game and really show where all the portals land if you actually want to give like a good explanation on how this works. So the second part of save glitch is the collision, and it has 2 parts. One is collision with dynamic objects such as doors and buttons and elevators, basically anything that can move in some way. They have this property where if you're behind your save glitch portal, you don't have collision with them. Hang on. Oops, I might have just cancelled my save glitch actually. Okay. Whoa. Oh, it was probably like barely. Yeah, I guess from the game's point of view, maybe the elevator was like in front of the portal somehow. I'm not sure how that worked, but yeah. So the way this type of collision works is if you're behind your portal, you have collision with elevators, but if the portal is actually facing the elevator, you always have collision with them. And the same goes for this door, like, which is over there. It's like these things. You always have collision with them if the portal is facing them. And the same is also true for buttons, and I'm not sure what else, but yeah. Those sorts of things, you always have collision with them if your salvage portal is facing them, and if it's not, then you don't have collision with them, you just pass through them. So the second part of collision is the rest, the floors and walls. So the way that works is pretty simple also. It was a mystery for quite a while actually, but recently I figured it out, and the way it works is you have a collision with things that are basically close to the portal. It essentially, in the map editor, the map is split into blocks, and sometimes blocks can be very large and sometimes they can be like relatively small. So the game essentially selects all the blocks that are within a certain radius of the salvage portal, and then you have collision with them while you're salvage. So here I can just pass through this wall because it's far enough away, and then I have collision with this bit, but once I walk far enough, I don't have collision with that bit anymore. I'm not entirely sure why that is, but that's pretty much exactly how it works. So that was a basic overview on how salvage works, and then this. Oh yeah, what I should also mention is that whenever you pass through your portal, if you're close enough to your portal, you get cancelled. The salvage state gets cancelled. So then this specific salvage is I'm gonna get salvaged again by loading the save. Oh. The doors seem to be closed, but yeah, I would normally like walk into this elevator over here, and then I would shoot the portal over here, and then it actually lands over here. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna load the save because everything's weird. Get save list again. So I'm gonna place the portal over here-ish, and then the portal's gonna place over here. And then because I hit the fizzler, as you might have remembered, I normally would have collision with this bit because it's too far away from the portal in this case. But since I hit the fizzler, the collision state actually gets... I have normal collision since I hit the fizzler, but I can still shoot my portal in weird spots, as you might be able to tell. So when I shot there, it actually lands in chamber 3. So that's how the route basically works. I'm gonna like show it off from this perspective. So since the portal is placed like this, if you think about it from this perspective, since my camera is over here and the portal's like this, I'm above the portal and to the right. So that's gonna place my body above the orange and to the left. So that's how that works. And then there was a second bit to this whole shebang. Very good. Which is that this portal actually gets placed on the ground. So the reason why that's important is because if it's placed on the ground, as you might remember, I don't have collision with this door. So I can do this ABH slightly quicker if I don't have collision with this thing. So as compared to, I'm actually going game. I'll show off the two other routes. So before this, the two options were you could either place the portal here, in which it would be facing away from the brown wall, but it would add one extra shot to this route. So that would be 3 shots. And then you could also place it here, which would be 1 shot less, but then you couldn't pass through the brown wall. But then I figured out that, okay, what if you place it on the ground, right? The problem with that might not be immediately obvious, is that if you walk into a portal, no matter what the speed, you get like boosted out of ground portals like that. So that's really bad if you want to do like a quick portal peek and then shoot a portal. In that case, it would be fast to shoot two portals, since you're just floating in there forever. That's super slow. So I figured out that if you like crouch at a very specific time, you sort of pop back into the portal. For some reason, I think it might be some sort of anti-stuck mechanism that it's activating. Like you can see right here, my body pops out for like 1 second, and then I can use that time to shoot a portal, and then I'm immediately over here again. So that allowed me to save 1 portal in that route while also going through the wall. So that was a 1 portal route improvement over PDI without like compromising any of the movement. And then a trick that's used pretty heavily in pretty much any portal speedrun is portal peeking, which is just abusing the travel time of the portals, because they're not instant like they're in Portal 2. They actually have a travel time, the projectiles. So you can shoot a portal and then walk back into the portal, and that's going to allow you to move the blue portal in this case. So that's obviously very useful there for covering large distances. And that's the end of Chamber 3. The rest of the runs can be lighter because I basically had to go through every detail of how save glitch works, because otherwise it's really difficult to appreciate inbounds route-wise on a very in-depth level if you don't know about save glitch. Like to me that seemed pointless. I basically had to go pretty in-depth in the save glitch if I wanted to do like a proper in-depth commentary for this run. So that's why I kind of had to do it. It's kind of complicated. I'm not sure if everyone will be able to get it, but hopefully some people will be able to at least. But moving on to Chamber 4 and 5. Chamber 4 and 5, there was an unfortunate mishap with the timing, which initially caused me to believe that this strat was way faster than it actually was. I believe this strat was around 2 seconds faster than what ended up being the final time. So because of that, I actually didn't test the PDI route with the TAS movement. And then because of that, because it was so much faster, I didn't test the movement, test the PDI shot with TAS movement. And then once I realized it, I already had done the whole TAS, and it's kind of difficult to splice in some parts in Portal, because in this case I would also have to do Chamber 6 and 7 because of the camera right here. But yeah, on to the actual route. I believe this should be still a little bit faster than the PDI route, if done optimally at least. So I'm not like super worried about it. And if it was slower, it was like not by a significant margin. I think it should be a bit faster even with this execution though. But yeah, the actual strat. First place the blue there, and then save glitch on it, and then there's 3 save glitch shots, and then this boosting with the cube that allows me to get back to the orange. And then right here I hit the trigger to start the ending dialogue, so at this part I have a little bit of time to mess around, but I'm gonna go back and then explain how the save glitch actually worked. So first save glitch on this blue over here, which then the first shot is done from around here, which then puts my save glitch body here, and I'm gonna shoot the portal over there. And then once I'm in the pit with the cube, you can already tell that since the blue is so far away from the pit, I'm basically in no man's land when I'm here, so I have to use the cube to actually get up from there with the tricky boosting. There's no like real explanation for the save list boosting. If you're just behind your portal, that sort of happens. You can get weird boosts out of items. It's kind of unpredictable on how it works, and it kind of makes tasking pretty awful. And I think actually I could have potentially done the boost a little bit better, but when I was trying to do like a more direct boost in the orange, I was always getting like completely. I only got like vertical movement out of it. But yeah, back to the actual save list. So the first shot lands here. So once I'm in the pit, I'm to the right and up from the blue, so I'm over there. And then from the orange perspective, I'm left and up. And that allows me to place the second portal over here, since I shot it from there. And then the third shot happens from this corner, which then, if you look at the blue portal here, I'm up, right, and then behind the blue. So from the orange, that would be left, up, and then in front. I'm also like mixing up left and up all the time, but don't worry about it. But yeah, that allows me to place the portal over there. And then I can just come back to the orange and then hit the speed sugar. And then right as that happens, I also place another portal so that it prevents this portal, or it prevents my blue portal from unlinking from the orange portal here. So I can keep the orange here, and I can use that to then get the camera onto the elevator, which is the next bit. But briefly after I hit the speed sugar, you can see me fall through a portal on the ground, and then I get quick quantum crouch, which is done just like that. Actually good first try. There's like a 2-tick timing as you go through the portal, where you can crouch and you get stuck in this quantum crouch state where you can still jump, as opposed to the normal quantum crouch thing. And it leaves your camera a little bit suspended above your hitbox. So as you can see right here, I'm a little bit above my hitbox, since my hitbox are clearly under the cube, but I'm actually inside the cube. So that allows me to place the portal over here through the floor in the next bit. So I'm gonna go back to the video. So since I'm also quick quantum crouched, I can jump, as opposed to normal quantum crouching, in which the normal quantum crouch is done by you crouch fully and then you uncrouch, and then you cancel your uncrouching animation by crouching again. I could actually show that in game as well, so that nobody's confused what I'm talking about. So in this version, you can't jump, which is less useful. But it's also easier to do than the portal version. And I mean, obviously you need a portal for the other version. And also, I guess I should mention, for this version, for some reason, one of the portals, I think the portal you enter has to be on the ground for this to work. You can't just have both on the wall and then crouch. It doesn't work like that for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why, but that's just how it works. But yeah, I can curve around the bottom and then ABH back through the portal, and then, as I explained earlier, the quick quantum crouch allows my head to pop through the floor, so I can shoot the portal there. And then I shoot off the camera, and because I want to bring it into the elevator, and then I do the save glitch. And the entire point of this save glitch is bringing the camera into the elevator.
Monitor this chamber.
So here I set up some portals so that I'm actually going to lose collision with the elevator, so I can fall through while still staying inbounds, and then I can place the blue here. And then I'm going to clip the camera through the bottom of the elevator. I'm not sure entirely why that works. That's just how it does, I'm not sure. You can just clip the camera through the bottom of the elevator by just tucking it in. Maybe the portal has something to do with it, I'm not entirely sure. But here I actually abused the default speed boost you get out of exiting around portals, which was also mentioned in Chamber 2. I get like a little boost as I exit that ground portal, and then I can shoot a portal over there, which then bumps to the other side of the fizzler. So I can use that to get back into the corridor, like so. So rewinding a little bit, I'm gonna go over this save glitch.
Monitor this.
And there. So the save glitch here, I save this on this wall, and then the first portal lands, I believe it lands over here. And the reason I want to place it on the ground is because I want to be in front of the blue, and then that's going to allow me to place a portal here. And a thing to notice here is that I'm very far away from the blue when it's on the ground, so I don't have collision with this corridor when that's placed. So that's why the shot happens right after I jump. So I can place this one before I actually land, so I have collision again. So these two portal shots were just done to move the save explorer over to here, and then I walk through the fizzler. I'm not going to walk through it now because I want to, it's like a little bit more convenient to show this if I don't fizzle it. But yeah, once I walk through the fizzler, my save body is up here, and then I can place a portal over here. And then once this is placed, I'm right and up from this portal. So then the next one, the next shot, I'm left and up from the orange, so I can place it over there. And the reason why this position is very key is that the C position is very specific in a way that it's actually below the elevator. So since the elevator is behind the blue, I'd have collision with the elevator, but it's actually above this bit, so I can still shoot a blue under the elevator here at the bottom. So then I can go back and get the camera. So and go over the shots again. So that's the ground one, that's done right after jumping, and then the save sport is moved there, and then that's above the pit, above the cube pit, and then I also jump into the fizzler right here because I wouldn't have collision with the ground again. So that's why that shot also has to be done in there. And then this lands on the ceiling in chamber 5, and then I clip through the elevator, and then I can fire that portal at the bottom of the elevator, and then I can do the stuff with the camera. And then the reason I actually get that camera is because I want to do a camera bug in chamber 6, 7. And I do a pretty crazy launch with it, like so. And this isn't too complicated actually. There's a little spot in the camera where you can get stuck, but you keep building up downwards velocity. So the game still thinks you're somehow in the air, and your falling velocity keeps building. So using that, you can sort of slide out of the camera just the right way, like that. And you can transfer all of that vertical velocity that you had into horizontal velocity. And you can use that to do big launches like this, and then also ABH of the camera in the air, which gives me quite a bit of speed.
While safety is one of many enrichment center goals, the Aperture Science high-energy pellet seen to the left of the chamber can and has caused permanent disabilities such as vaporization.
Then chamber 7.
Please be careful. Warning devices are
Which isn't too complicated either. It's just a simple ABH from here to here, and then I uncrouch here to get like a little boost out of the platform. I couldn't actually jump and ABH on this edge, which would have been ideal, but unfortunately this edge is a little bit too high and a little bit too close. I could make it up here with just jumping, but I would hit this edge too soon. So I can't just go like super fast ABH over this edge, unfortunately. So I had to do that weird like unducking boost out of that platform. This try was actually suggested to me by Blizzak. he made a tweet along the lines of, I just came up with a cool strat for Chamber 7, too bad it's impossible, and then I asked him about it, what it was, and he told me to just jump over the staircase and then try to make it to the end, like so. And it just so happens that it's barely possible to do with TAS strafing.
Have been found to agitate the high energy pellet and have therefore been disabled for your safety.
Then Chamber 8, which is also pretty simple.
Please note that we have added a consequence for failure. Any contact with...
So here I just do a simple ABH, and then I do a toggle duck ABH over that edge, and I can just clear the whole gap using that. And what a toggle duck ABH is there is a command called toggle duck, and as you might imagine, it toggles your duck state, but also what it does is it automatically unducks you at the right time. For like it gives you like a little vertical boost when you do a jump. So using that, I can get a little bit extra height and clear this edge like that.
Added a consequence for failure.
So note though, it's like a controller only command in theory. If you play this game with a controller, then that's automatically bound. But I could also do it with just the regular duck command, but it's just a little bit more convenient to do it with the toggle duck command.
With the chamber floor will result in an unsatisfactory mark on
So
your
I don't know
official
if anyone's
test
like against using that command, I could have done that easily without it.
Very impressed.
Chamber 9 is a mix of all the new strats, the old stuff, and then the new stuff.
Make no attempt to solve it. Fantastic. You remained resolute and
So if you watched the Out-of-Bounds run, you've probably seen this strat already. This is just, I fire a portal under the door as I AFH off of the button, since they did try to prevent players from doing this, but if you just fire the portal at the right spot, you can fire it so it lands under the door. And you're going to use that to skip the puzzle. Here, as the portal opens, I actually unduck immediately to go through it a little bit sooner. And I ABH so that I actually beat the elevator here. And that makes it go up a little bit sooner, because you can like hit the trigger for the elevator from here, which is a little bit weird, but yeah, that makes it go, I think it saved a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds. Saves a surprising amount of time actually. So now in the Out-of-Bounds run, I could do a save glitch and then just get to the top of the map by just doing PQR, you know, Out-of-Bounds stuff. So the problem with this was that I had to do this inbounds. So the solution I came up with was I throw that cube onto the button, and then I peek myself here, which I believe this is a little bit faster than the just doing the, what do you want to call it, the pull under the door, because I was already in that position, so I could throw the cube very quickly from there. And then now it might seem like I could just go into the elevator, but actually there's like an invisible wall here, and I need to do a save glitch in order to go through that. So a save glitch there, and then I can barely get myself up to the elevator. So the save glitch portal that I fire right there is actually placed in a way so that it's facing the elevator, so I still keep collision with the elevator, but I lose the collision with the elevator shaft. So that's why I can stay on the elevator for a while and then walk back. Now the invisible barriers are gone. Like essentially, it's not really an invisible barrier, but the door hitbox remains closed. I suppose that would be a good way to put it, or it closed earlier. so you can't just go through. So that's why I had to do the sableage here.
And resourceful in an atmosphere of extreme
And then also,
pessimism.
the obvious advantage from doing this is that the doors are already open for chamber 10, so I can just ABH out of the elevator as the map loads.
Hello again.
And then once you make it to, I think it's around here, where the speech trigger for chamber 10 is, and you want to hit that as fast as possible so the orange portal opens.
And to reiterate,
And then I do, oh actually I'm going to display out.
momentum, a function of mass and velocity.
So what happens there is I do a re-portal
Hello
actually.
again. To reiterate,
Wonder if you can see it here. Oh, you can. Cool. So I fire a portal at the ceiling as I ABH through the orange portal, and what happens is the blue portal gets moved to the ceiling right at this frame, I believe. So that gives me like a little bump forwards. I can show it in game actually. It's pretty easy to show. I'm chamber 9. Maybe I'll go to chamber 10. If that doesn't really matter for this.
hello again. To reiterate,
So let's say I'm here. And actually for the portal, you can see it sort of pops me out of the orange portal.
momentum.
I'm not sure, this is just a game mechanic that you can abuse to give yourself a little bit extra treat. We call it a re-portal. So I'm gonna swap back into the video. And then you can actually hear that portal place there as well. And then, as in chamber 2, I do a jump over the ground and jump over the door. And then another one here where I also use the slope to get a launch. And you actually have to slow down quite a bit on this map because it just happens so that the angles work out so that you can't just go super fast into the elevator. And also there's another thing, which, just a sec.
Spectacular.
So if you actually go into here, you might be able to tell that this is a little bit higher than this part. So if you go super fast in this part, you'll hit your head in this thing, and then you won't be able to go into the elevator. You'll just get completely stopped. You can see that in Goknak's segment for Portal, the Portal segmented run that was done in Portal inbound segmented run that was done in 1047, I believe. But yeah, if you look at the angle from here, there's no direct angle you could use to get into the elevator. So essentially what you have to do is you have to get a slow enough launch that your path can get a little bit curved in order to make this. You have to just go a little bit slower so that gravity can do its thing, unfortunately. And as you can tell in the video, the angle is very optimized here. I very barely make this, as you can tell here. It's very tight. And that's chamber 10.
Momentum, a function of mass and velocity, is conserved between portals. In layman's terms, speedy thing goes in, speedy thing comes out.
Then we're moving on to chamber 11-12 and the dual portal chambers, in which save lips get even more broken because of the ability to place two portals at once. So mostly just moves most of the limitations regarding save leech, since you can also move the other portal. In all of the previous maps, the save leech portal has been static, which has limited some of the longer save leeches by quite a bit. So right at the start here, I do a jump out of the elevator, and then I shoot a portal over there for later on, and it also re-portals me as I go through this portal. And then I just ABH, and then I grab the door portal gun from the pedestal, and you can actually pick it up a little bit sooner if you press E on it. The auto pickup radius is a little bit smaller than the actual pickup radius where you can just press E on it. So that saves a little bit of time. And it's also key to note that once you get the dual portal gun, your cooldowns get reset. So you have to wait a half second for... Well, that's weird how that looked in the video. But yeah, the cooldowns get reset once that happens. So this orange shot is a little bit delayed because of that. And then I get a save glitch on this wall. And then these shots happen. And then that gets me under the elevator in chamber 12. So that makes the elevator to go up. And then this bit I do to get the camera in front of the elevator here. Another save glitch. And then I get ready for chamber 13. But now back to chamber 11 and the save glitch. So I have the orange there and then the blue there. So then what's the... Oh yeah, the first portal that I placed, since I'm save glitch on blue, I actually want to move it up to here. And it's key that it's placed a little bit above the from the goo there, so that I actually maintain collision with the floor here. As you might remember, the case with save glitch collision is that you have collision with blocks that are nearby the save portal, and the blocks on the floor here are actually pretty large, so that's pretty fortunate for us in that case, because the save portal can actually be pretty far away while still maintaining collision. So that allows for like a pretty long save glitch on this map. So then, wait a sec, I have to check the video real quick. So, all right. Then that's the right, and then it's under. All right. So then I walk through the glass, and because in that case I'm in front of the blue, I can place the orange here. And then if you think about the blue portal's perspective, I'm left and up, so orange's perspective right and up. So that allows me to my save spot to be here, and I think I forget which it lands on, but it might land, I want to say the portal lands here. And then again I'm right and up, as I'm roughly in the same spot there, I'm right and up, so that allows me to place the orange here. And then I go back to here and then place blue here, so I can trigger this elevator like so. And then once that happens, the map's on a timer and I have a little bit of time to prepare for chamber 13. I'm gonna get the camera there, and I should probably show that thing. It's like a nifty trick you can do. Save village. So I'm not gonna get save village on that wall. So if you walk behind your save portal, like try to cross it, your camera gets moved to where your body actually is. So using that, I can place the first portal, and then I'm not gonna trigger the elevator to go up, because that's gonna shut down the game. It's gonna like fade into black if that happens. So the first portal I shoot here, and then the second portal actually lands over here. And then, since my blue is here, I walk in front of the blue, and then I place the blue again there. So I still have collision, and I can walk through that glass and then place the blue again there. And after that happens, now my orange is there and my blue is there. So from blue perspective, right and up, orange perspective, actually it might be a bit there actually. Yeah. Oh, wait, hang on. No, yeah, it's on this wall. So it's from the orange perspective, it's left and up, since from blue it was right and up. So that allows me to place the portal over here. Oh, wait, which should I place actually? Oh, it doesn't really matter, but I just placed the last portal there, and I can then bring the camera into chamber 13.
Two linked portals at once, as part of an optional test protocol.
So again, from this perspective, I actually have to wait for the elevator to start moving before placing this. And this was the same trick as in chamber 4, or I guess in chamber 5 more like, where I placed the portal through the Frizzler by just shooting the top. I can actually show that in game. It's pretty easy to do. So I can place the portal like so. If I just shoot the edge from this side, it sort of gets bumped through the Fizzler, which is pretty convenient. So that places the portal on the wall, and then the blue there, and that's actually placed so that I'm in front of my blue portal, so I can place it again under there. Then the orange, yeah, it's orange, so it lands over there, and then I can shoot blue on that, and then I get the camera bug for chamber 13, which this is the other orientation for camera bug. It gives you a little bit more speed than the one in 6.7. The reason I wanted to use the old camera bug orientation in 6.7 was because it was a little bit more convenient to do in that spot with the old orientation. So yeah, I jump into the camera, and again I build up velocity because the game thinks I'm still falling even though I'm above the camera. And then I slide out of the camera. Actually, let 13 play out. And then I do the save loot boost into the end of 13. So camera bug is same as 6.7. I just slide out of it at the correct time to get some horizontal velocity, and then I shoot that camera off there and I save glitch on that wall. There isn't really much to talk about in this save glitch actually, because I'm just using the save glitch here because of the collision. Then I do a ABH off of the camera, and I get like a nice boost out of it as well. There's that same spot where you can do camera bugs, sort of in the same area. You can also get a nice boost out of it, and I'm also save glitch, so the extra save glitch boost also comes into play there. There's many boosts at once happening. And then here I actually shoot the blue here, so I get unsave glitched. Wow, that looks kind of bad. And then I can ABH off of the ground there. It's also worth mentioning that this is done on like a pre-render of the run, so some of these things might be fixed in the final render. But yeah, that's the end of chamber 13. Yeah, just to clarify if I didn't mention it already, the reason I shoot that portal is because I want to get an extra ABH in here. That gives me a little bit of extra speed. And it also makes it so because I unsave glitch using this portal, I don't fall through the floor, which is very useful.
All authorized activities do not destroy vital testing apparatus. Now that you are in control of both portals, this next test could take a very, very long time. If you become lightheaded...
Chamber 14 is pretty simple, as it is one of the shortest chambers and it only consists of movement. And there's a peculiar thing about chamber 14 actually, is that at the start of the chamber, the doors are actually not solid, so you can just jump through them before they open. And then you can also shoot portals through them. And that's because the collision for the door is actually at the bottom of the elevator shaft. And that's also true for chamber 19, I believe. So the strat here is relatively simple. I just do an ABH and then place both portals on the ground here. And then I pause as I go through the blue. And that gives me an extra boost. Like so. And I can make it up to the final platform and then ABH to the end.
All subjects intending to handle high-energy gamma leaking portal technology must be informed that they may be informed of applicable regulatory compliance issues. No further compliance information.
Chamber 15 is one of those maps that's been completely brutalized by save glitch. And yeah, that was it. That's the power of dual portal gun with save glitch. So right at the start, I place the orange portal here, and it's actually key that it's orange. because I wanna, as the save glitch happens, I wanna shoot blue as my first portal. And I shoot the camera off there, because I actually need the camera for the to catch myself at the end of the save glitch, so that I don't fall through the fall. And right before grabbing the camera, I also shoot the blue portal there. So now that I save glitch, I can immediately drop the camera, and what that does is it allows me to do a trick called fake reload, which is if you drop a camera right as a load happens, that might be a level load, might be a save getting loaded. If you drop the camera, it reduces the cooldown of your blue portal shot by half a second. So that's why the save portal had to be orange. So that allows me to save half a second there, and then the portal shots happen just at the end of chamber 15. I'm going to be going over them. And here you can see that I catch myself with this camera, like so, so I don't fall through the floor here. And then do the ABH into the end, like that. So, save glitch. So it starts off with me having the blue there. So as you can see, the first two shots are actually visible from the player perspective. The first one is placed like this, so that I can actually shoot beyond the glass. Wait, hang on, I have to rebind my stuff. And orange. So that puts my save glitch body over there, so I can put the blue then there. And since my save spot is always in the same spot, I don't have to worry about collision really. And then once that's there, logically, if you figure it out, that puts my save glitch body here. So the next shot actually goes into here. And then once that happens, I shoot the orange like this. And this is the point where we enter no man's land again. So that's why I need to catch myself with the camera, so I don't fall through the floor. And here, I'm in this direction of the blue, so that puts me... Oh, actually, wait, hang on. I'm from like this direction from the blue, and if you figure out the angles, that puts me... I believe it puts me right around here, and then I can shoot one of the poles there. And it actually has to be... It has to be orange, right? So the reason it has to be orange is because if I would shoot blue, I would still be behind my orange pole, because this is actually above where the chamber start is. And so that's why that has to be done like so. And we actually had a route that we figured out with Xeast, where we used like a different way to place these portals, and that allows us to place the portal here, so we just go under the elevator. But it ended up being the case that since it was really difficult, since this is also above the spot at the start, obviously, so shooting the orange there didn't help. As in this case, if you shoot the orange at the ceiling, it's obviously facing you at the start, so you can shoot the blue there in order to go through the portal. But if you shoot the orange under the elevator, you can't do that, since you're still behind your savage portal. So we essentially devised a plan on how to jump into this elevator shaft, or that was mostly me, but Xeast also helped a little bit figuring it out. But so we would do the save glitch shot under the elevator like here, and then I would fall down the elevator shaft and then finally catch myself here. But it ended up being the case that there was actually not enough time to shoot all the portals, so that's why that didn't end up happening. So we just had to settle for the PDS strat. So, back to the video.
Be available at the conclusion of the test. Thank you for helping us help you help us all.
After that comes Chamber 16, another level completely brutalized by save glitch. So just like that, I hit the elevator trigger, and then I do some magic to get the camera in front of the elevator before it arrives there. So that was a lot to break down, so let me start from the top. Right at the beginning I do a portal bump through this wall, and a portal bump is a mechanic in the game which forces the portal that you're placing slightly to the side if you're trying to place it exactly where another portal was. So I'm trying to shoot a orange portal here, so it gets bumped to the other side of this wall, and it skips the waiting with the door here. You normally have to wait for it to open. And then here I save glitch on this wall, and then I grab the turret, and it's key that this save glitch portal again is orange so that I can abuse fake reload by shooting blue right at the start here. And then there's this save glitch. And I'm gonna show you how that works. So there's blue here, orange here, save glitch, and then I actually have the turrets for the purpose of making this video so that they don't shoot me, so it's easier to show. In the actual video I have them like normal function, of course, just to clarify. And then the first portal is blue and it lands over there, and then the second portal is orange and it lands over there, and then think about it from this perspective, I'm slightly to the right of the orange, so I'm left of the blue, and that places me here, and then I can place blue there, and then this shot lands over here, and I shoot orange here. So now that the orange is there, I'm now again in front of my savage portal, so I can then jump and then do that. And then after that comes the second bit. The second save glitch we starts off similarly, and then I do this weird boost to get to the end. So the magic behind that save glitch is that I started similar again. I think I have to pulse reverse actually. I think this is blue and this is orange. But yeah, I shoot like orange, blue, and then I do a couple of shots. I don't remember how they worked exactly, but it's not too complicated. I just get the orange here, so that it's like so, and then as I jump on top of the camera and then do the blue shot, the blue lands over here. So after this happens, the problem with this save glitch and why it was really difficult to make it up there in time was that in this position there's no portal that I could place. I can't place the blue in a way where I could place the orange from here again, because if I place the blue here I'm still behind the save glitch portal, so all my shots are now gonna go like out of bounds. They're gonna go like there, and that's bad. So what I need to do is, I figured out that there was like no way I could remove the blue in I would have the blue in a way where I could like shoot the orange again in some reasonable spot. So I just figured that I would have to do some sort of a boost like from there to there, so that I would be in front of the blue again. So that's why I can shoot the portal here, is because my blue portal's over there. And that's the same issue that we had already in 15, where the route just works out, but I just can't like actually make the last shot work, because I'm behind my saves portal and there's no way I can move it in a way where I could shoot the other portal. But I managed to overcome it there with like the sketchiest looking boost in the universe. It did look like sketchy as fuck, gotta say. I tried to get it more direct, but it just didn't work, so I don't know. At least it works. And this route was, I believe, a version of the under elevator save glitch was already known. At the time, people were making PDI, but back then they didn't have a way to get in front of the elevator. And I did ask him about the 16 strat, but I asked him more about it, and he didn't remember how the route actually worked out. And the other person that could have actually known about it is Mikael, who's pretty much disappeared from the internet since like last year. So not much info getting coming out of him anymore. So yeah, it did look kind of sketchy, but at least I managed to make it work. And I mean, as long as it works, it doesn't matter, because the second part is on a timer. So yeah.
Certain objects may be vital.
Out of that comes Chamber 17, which is pretty much the PD arrow with one change. And the change happens in the elevator, actually. In which I place these two portals to break out of the elevator early. Like so. Go back to the beginning. Right at the start you can see me slow down a bit because I have to wait for the camera to actually catch up. If you go too fast, the camera just falls behind, and I couldn't do this boost with the camera. As you can see right here, I like smack the camera into the ground, and that gives me a boost. That trick is called a moon jump. And it's a weird physics-related glitch. I don't really have a good explanation for how it works. It's kind of random. It's pretty annoying to TAS. And here I crouch into the camera, which allows me to get stuck in it, because of the weird ways how camera collision works. And then I throw the camera towards that portal surface, and then I shoot blue there. And then I can shoot orange here, and then throw the camera so it lands more to the left and forwards. And then I do this save glitch. And there's this one save glitch shot that I gotta explain a little bit more where that lands, and then there's these two in the elevator. But yeah, back into the video game. So my blue is there and my orange is here. And once I'm save glitched behind orange, when I shoot there, the save glitch portal lands there. And because it's facing away from the door, I don't have collision with this anymore, so I can just fly through it. And then I hit the fizzler, which means that the save glitch actually goes inactive. And then as I go up the elevator, I fire two portals. So if you think about it from the orange perspective, I'm to the left and up a bit. So from the blue perspective, I would be right and up. And aha! That brings us here. So one might ask, what is this part of the map? And it seems to be some sort of an unused part of the map that was maybe in some beta test version, I don't know. Tough to say really. But because of this, I can place the blue there and the orange there. That's roughly how it works. And then, because I have the orange placed, then I can just go for the elevator at the start or at the end. So I had a question in mind when I was writing this, and the question was, how does the save glitch calculations work exactly when they get fizzled and then one of the portals gets placed? So if you think about it, there's two ways it could work. Either the save glitch pushing could get updated after the one is placed, or it could get it could stay the same until both portals are placed. And it ends up being the case that it's actually the latter. So My save glitch body stays at roughly the same spot as long as both of the portals are placed. And yeah, in this case that would be in here. And then I can shoot the blue, and the save glitch collision stays the same until I shoot the orange. And it's key that I shoot the blue first, because then when I shoot the orange I no longer have collision with anything. But it doesn't matter at the end of the level, because I can just ABH at the elevator and then end up here. And then once the level loads, I mean the portals are just get unloaded, so it's not a problem anymore. So yeah, that was I'm pretty proud of that strat, not gonna lie. Even though it doesn't actually save that much time, it only saves like a quarter of a second. But it's pretty cool though, gotta admit. And the reason it saves time because I can shoot the first portal in 18 a little bit quicker, because I don't have to wait for the doors to open. Moving on to chamber 18. Edge glitch up here, and then do the camera fly, and then I hit the speed trigger here, and this is the same as 4.5. You can do stuff while the kaleidoscope is playing, and it doesn't slow you down at all, so I have time to actually set up this camera for 19 without wasting any time, so I can use it for fake reload. And then it's gonna get back into the beginning. So again, here I saved a quarter of a second because I was already through the door as the map loaded. And then there's edge glitch, which I'll go in more detail. So I have the orange here and then the blue here. So when I step on top of the orange, it gives me sort of a temporary save glitch, which then puts my body, as you can see, puts my body over to here, and then I can shoot the blue here. It should be a little bit close to the door. And then once that's placed, I can do another edge glitch shot, which then lands. Oops, that's one through the portal accidentally. I can shoot the next save glitch shot through the door, which lands over there. And then you can do a little trick with the orange, where you can just bump through the edge glitch. Can see if I can do it. It can be a little bit tricky to find sometimes. Okay, there we go. So yeah, that's how I get to the other side. And get back to the video. Then I do this camera fly up to the final platform. And there's actually a really cool bit about this that I found out about PDI recently.
Vital testing apparatus destroyed.
If you listen to the line, it says vital testing apparatus destroyed. And that's actually the third camera detaching line in the game. And it's also, I think it's one of the shortest. And that's very key here, because if I want to make the GLaDOS dialogue start earlier, if the camera dialogue is playing, then the GLaDOS dialogue won't start until after it. So that's why it's very key that I detach cameras in 13 and 16. So I'm gonna check those out now.
Part of an optional impact.
And it's also worth mentioning that the camera dialogues only play when GLaDOS isn't talking, so that's why there isn't more of them being played. So that's the first one. You can hear it now play. And that's super long. Like this takes, I think it's around 7 seconds. And then the one in 16 plays the end.
Your own safety, do not destroy vital testing apparatus.
Yeah, you could hear that. That was a little bit shorter, but it was still like kind of long. So in 18 previously, we had to actually wait for the camera dialogue to end before the GLaDOS dialogue at the stop could actually start. And here, it actually, the dialogue ends way before hitting the trigger, so that allows me to start this dialogue as fast as possible.
Well done.
It's also saved a little bit of time. And I actually did a TAS of this, and I posted it on Twitter. And this ending bit was a little bit different. I also had to redo this because of the dialogue change, because I changed the route so that I detached one more camera. That was the 16 one, and then also I did the thing in 17 where I ended up in front of the elevator. So that was also a factor. And I do that save glitch, which I'm gonna go in game and explain it real quick. Actually a relatively simple one. And I believe balls actually want to place there. So I do the save glitch, so it's probably should be the other way around. Yeah, this looks right. So I do a falling save glitch as I sort of slide over that edge, and then once I fall down into here, it actually puts me behind the orange portal a lot, which then in turn puts me up here, and then I can place the blue here, or I guess it's orange in this case. I don't remember what the colors were in the video. But then there's another key thing, is that when I'm up here above this platform, I'm actually in front of this portal, so I can place the blue fine, which is very, very useful for this, because otherwise I would be save glitched and I would be just falling into my falling forever, falling through the map, which wouldn't be good. So yeah, I forgot if I had something else to mention about this map. Oh yeah, I did a test on Twitter where I had a second launch from up here, but then I figured out that there was a more simple way to do this ending bit, which is a little bit more boring, but I was like losing my mind doing the camera bug or the camera fly again, so I just took the easy way out. So this was using the same what do you call it? The camera collision trick where you can crouch into the camera, and then that allows you to get stuck in it, and I can then save load through the top of the elevator. And then here it actually gets wedged between the elevator shaft at some point, and then it sort of falls through the elevator in a weird looking way. And that allows me to, I can then release it at the start of chamber 19, and then I can do fake reload, so shoot the blue half a second quicker. After that we have chamber 19, which is pretty quick, and it also marks the start of the escape maps, in which you just have the level change triggers so that you can hit them in order to change the level, so you don't have elevators anymore. But yeah, I'm gonna go back to the start of the map. Right at the start, I jump into the ceiling portal while the orange also is on a slant, and if you actually jump into a ceiling portal while you're uncrouched, you get teleported into a weird part of the map, so in this case the goo. And I'm gonna go in game to show how the teleport works. It's a little bit it doesn't really make sense initially. So I have the blue portal here and then the orange here. So what happens is when you go through the portal and you're standing, it activates the anti-stuck mechanism, in which as you're going through the portal, it's like, oh shit, you're stuck, and then it tries to move you back to the blue, but you actually haven't gone through it yet, and that's the very key thing. So if you think about the teleport from this perspective, what it would have to do to your position is it would have to move you roughly to the left and up from the orange portal's perspective. It's kind of weird to imagine because this portal's on a slant, which makes this a lot more difficult. And if you think from this portal's perspective, if you imagine that this is the slant portal, then left and up would be here. So I went through the portal accidentally. So that's where it puts you in there, and then you barely have enough time to actually make it out of the goo. And then I fire the portal over there, and then save glitch on the blue here. And then there's these 2 shots, and then there's another lag. It's lag stands for large angle glitch, by the way. And then in that case, the ceiling portal goes there. The slant being in the same spot. So first I'm going to go over the save glitch. So I think I have blue, and then as I fall into this portal, I shoot the orange up there. So when I save glitch on this thing, that actually puts my save glitch body up here. Once I move it back a bit, and then once this is here, the next shot goes into here. And then I actually do like a pretty cool peek with this blue. Is I use the same trick. I'm actually gonna go back into the because that's actually where it happens. And super difficult to do also, so
When you are done, you will drop the device.
I won't be able to replicate it in game. So here I actually peek this portal up here, and I use the same trick as in chamber 2-3 to pop back into this portal. I think I use it in like sort of a reverse way. Is I crouch now, and then that prevents me from popping out of the floor portal here. So then I can strafe into the slant portal and then do this lag over here. And I go through the floor portal again that I placed earlier. And that teleports from the end. So now I'm going to go over the second lag. So the the slant portal is still in the same spot, and then I fly out of this portal, and then let me actually see how this works out. So from this perspective, the portal is like in that direction, and then kind of left, I guess. So from this portal's perspective, that ends up being in here. It's kind of difficult to show how it works, but yeah, that's how it happens. And it's the angle you have to shoot the portal on the ceiling is kind of precise, so that's why you'll see people fail this pretty often when they do attempts in runs. The angle is very precise, and then you just hit the level change you'll get at the end, and the level changes, unsurprisingly. After that we have Escape O. The name comes from the map name that you can see in game. That was pretty quick. Another level completely destroyed by save glitch. A map that used to have cool imbalance movement. But yeah, I shoot the portal into the room over there, and then I sort of bounce off of this piston and then into that portal, and then I place the orange at the top there, and then I save glitch on blue here, and then I do grab one of the cans so I can do fake reload in the next segment. And then there's a couple of save glitch shots. I shoot blue, orange, and then blue, and then I catch myself with orange. And gonna go in game, and I'm gonna show how it works. So the blue was there, and then we had orange here. So the first shot goes into here, in which if you think about it from the blue's perspective, I'm to the right and behind the blue, so then that puts me over here, and then I can place the orange up there. And after that's been placed, if you look at it from the blue's perspective again, that's actually going to place my body up here, and then I can shoot the blue portal up here, so that now again I'm in front of blue, so I can catch myself with the orange on the wall. And I did actually think about maybe shooting a portal up here, but it's actually the case that this makes it so I would be behind the Sabre's portal, so that wasn't viable because of that. So I actually had to shoot this wall. If I could have shot this wall, this would have saved a little bit of time, obviously, because then I can just ABH on the pipe instead of coming here and peeking this shot. But yeah, that was one of the earliest routes that actually came up with this. That was one of the earliest routes that I came up for this run, when I was like writing if it would be worth to actually do an inbound TAS. Actually posted this on my YouTube as well. So yeah, I catch myself with the orange there, and I go over here, peek at that portal over there, and then ABH through that portal, and re-portal, and then just an ABH to the end, like so. After that we have escape 01. And in that we have the Zy Martin save glitch, a little bit modified.
You're not a good person. You know that.
It's pretty fast. I believe this was the single biggest time save over PDI in the run. Or maybe, probably was actually Chambers 01. I forget what it was, but this was definitely the second biggest after that, if not the biggest. So right off the bat there's a little bit of movement, and then if you actually touch this door, normally you have to wait for it to open, but you can just touch it and it opens for some reason. And then I want the non-savage portal to be here, so that's why I go over there to peek this portal. And then I save glitch on blue here, and I do fake reload, and then there's this monstrosity of a save glitch. Boom, 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 boom. Magically at the end of the level. So let's go over the magic. So we have the orange there and the blue there initially. So the first bit I actually walk behind the savage portal so that I can peek the blue into here. So then I have collision all the way up here, because the blocks in this part of the map are actually pretty huge, which is pretty fortunate. And then the actual save spot starts here. So again, looking at the blue's perspective, I'm left and up. So from the orange perspective, I'm right and up, so which then brings me here. And I don't know exactly where it is, but then from that corner, like roughly here-ish, I can shoot the orange there. And then again, right and up allows me to be here.
This is your fault. It didn't have to be like this.
And then I believe the next savage portal goes like so. And then the next one is up here, and it lands like that. And then the next one goes up here, I believe, and it's like so. This pretty much sort of from the same position, so the save list transition is always the same from the orange's perspective. And then there's one here, and then a shot here, and then finally a shot to the end. It's pretty much using a fixed offset from the blue portal. As you can see right here, it's like pretty much I'm more or less standing in the same spot shooting portals. And then here there's a little bit of a trick with fake reload, because there's a bunch of props around this area. You can't really see it in game or in the video, but I actually grab one of the like the metal stairs things that's in here, and I use it for fake reload in the next map. It's also like pretty weird to grab, like they're so far away from you. I don't know how they made them like this. They're pretty funny. But yeah, that's also why the portal I shoot is orange on the wall, so I can use the blue on the first portal on the next map. That's very key when you figure out fake reload routes. You just have to figure out, okay, how do I make it so that I can shoot blue at the start of the load. Now we're on to the last map, Escape 2. It's a bit of a new trick with the turret, in that I bring it with me with the acute angle glitch. And then there's the GLaDOS fight. Pretty much the same as the other bounce run. And then gonna break this down until I get to the cake stuff later on. So the simple portal peaks here, and then I shoot a portal. It's like there's a little bit of a surface there. It's kind of hard to see from this video, but yeah, I shoot that, and that's just on a wall, so that I'll actually show this in game. It's kind of difficult to show. Just talking in the video. So the portal lands on that wall, and then I have the blues on the ground. So there's actually there's like a portable. Whoops! I don't know what I meant to do. Yeah, there's like a portable surface here. So you can use that for acute angle glitch, which is it's basically another version of the large angle glitch, except that the portal is on like an inward slant, if that makes any sense. Like it's this way instead of this way. And it's performed a little bit differently, or is it? Yeah, it's performed a little bit differently in that the teleport happens when you go into this portal, as opposed to the non-slam portal. And the non-slam portal has to be on the ground, I believe, and that's the only way I've seen it done so far. And then you have the other portal here. So you in the video, swap back into it for a little bit. You can see that I jump through the wall portal, and then I place the slant portal immediately. And then once I go through the slant portal, I magically get teleported here. So the way this teleport works is the same as the lag teleport, in that it tries to reverse the teleport even though it hasn't like actually gone through the portal yet. So I'm up here, and then I'm getting teleported as if I would get teleported from the blue to the orange. So if you look at this from the blue's perspective, the orange is behind, or it's like in front of the blue, and then also below it, if you think about it from like this point of view. So then if you figure that out from here, below and in front actually gets you up to here. And once that happens, you can go to the turrets. And there's also a thing about lag and acute angle glitch, in that some of them you have to cancel by firing a portal somewhere for some reason, and then some of them you don't. That was actually the case with the Chamber 19 first lag. You had to fire that portal on the wall in order to not get save glitched, and there's also the same thing here, in which I shoot this seemingly unnecessary portal that actually unsave glitches me. And then there's this portal, and that lands on the wall next to the slant. And then I ABH up here, and there's actually a trigger that you want to hit here, and that makes the turret slower down. And then I do another acute angle glitch, in which I actually grab the turret with me. It's like you can kind of see it from here, but not really. of it. That's, you can see it there actually, yeah. So that's how I grab it, and then it gets moved with me when I teleport to GLaDOS. So that was pretty convenient, and that allowed me to hit the trigger for GLaDOS earlier, because once you hit the trigger to start the GLaDOS fight, it actually unloads all the entities that are not in the GLaDOS fight room. I suppose that was trying to prevent people from, you know, killing GLaDOS with a turret. Imagine using that. But yeah, I'm gonna go quick in game to show off how the second acute angle glitch works. So it's roughly placed like that. It's a little bit curved to the side, or angled to the side here. And then again, if you look at this from the blue's perspective, I'm up and then behind the blue. So in the case of orange, that then gets me up and then in front, which gets me roughly about here. And as you can see there, the GLaDOS dialogue started, and then when I go back up here, there used to be a turret right there, but it actually disappeared because I hit the GLaDOS trigger. That's why I need to bring the turret like that into the GLaDOS fight. And yeah, gonna go back into the video. And then here I do the other version of corner crouch that I didn't do in Chamber 4-5, in which I just do it by cancelling my uncrouching animation, and that leaves my head suspended above my hitbox, and the turrets always aim for your head, so that allows me to avoid getting hit by bullets, but it also gets the turrets better funneled into GLaDOS in this case. And the turret hitting GLaDOS has two purposes. One, it skips the fight, because normally you would have to use the turrets to kill GLaDOS and redirect them into her. And the second bit is that you want to use it, you want to use the turret to speed up the GLaDOS dialogue, because every time the turret hits GLaDOS, it skips a certain amount of the GLaDOS dialogue. It saves, I think it's like 2/3 of a second each time it hits GLaDOS. And but there's as you can tell right here, there's a limit how much you can do it. So whenever her voice goes back to normal, that's when you want to hit her again. To skip as much dialogue as possible. And then, while I wanted to actually change the core route from the advanced TAS, because I was in more of a hurry this time to get the cores while also getting GLaDOS as much, getting GLaDOS damage as much as possible. So I figured that I would take the quantum crouch damage right off the bat out of the way, because in the advanced TAS I got the cores first, and then I returned back into here to damage GLaDOS more by this quantum crouching. But I figured that it would be better to just do all the quantum crouching stuff out of the way first. That would be a more optimal way to do it. It didn't end up saving time because I skipped the dialogue in both runs as many times. But I just had to do this more optimally because there was just less time to do this stuff because I got the turret in another way. And then I actually shoot the turret so it pops through the portal there, and then like spins randomly and shoots GLaDOS. That was kind of random to get actually. Kind of frustrating. And then there I actually shot the incinerator using an edge glitch, and then I incinerate these cores like so. And I'm gonna go in game to see to show how the edge glitch works. So I had one of the portals there, the other one there. So you just walk into this corner. I think I'm gonna have one of them misplaced. And it gets placed here. And if you actually look up the trigger, you can see right there, that's where the cores actually gets destroyed. So if the cores exit this portal in the right way, they actually get incinerated instantly, as opposed to the other option would be to shooting a portal here. This was used in all the portal speedruns, where you just have the cores drop down the intended way from here to here. But yeah, if you fire the portal at the trigger, it's a little bit quicker. So how the actual shot works is you have the blue portals here, and then we do an edge glitch to shoot the portal into there. And edge glitch again was the sort of temporary save glitch, which then allows my body to be just next to this blue portal, and then I can shoot the portal into there. So I can show it with this one core. This get instantly incinerated like so.
You're kidding me. Did you just
Yep.
You chose this path. Now I have to.
So there's where the edge shot happens, and then I shoot all these cores so that they go into the trigger. And they're actually, I grab the core so that it goes a little bit quicker into the incinerator, and that's the game. Time ends when the crosshair disappears, so that would be there. That's when timing ends for portal speedrunning. And then there's the save glitch that I do to go into the cake room. And this isn't of course necessary at all, but I just did this for fun because I figured out a way on how to actually get into the cake room in bounds. I hadn't been done before, so that was kind of nifty. So the main trick is actually that acute angle glitch that I do right now. That allows me to go into this little tube that the camera normally goes through. And the screen actually fades to white as I like finish my thing again. So I just barely had enough time to do that. And I actually leave the cube so that it like keeps infinitely falling through the portal. I'll show it here. I also did this in the advanced TAS. I kind of ran out of ideas on what to do here. One idea that I had was to have a portal here and then another portal here, and then I would have the portal or the cube go like this continuously, but it didn't really end up working out. But that would have been kind of cool. But yeah, I didn't really try too much to make it work. And yeah, seemed like too much effort to me. There's an initial save glitch that I do here where I believe hang on, I think I have one portal like there, and then the other portal's here, and I just go into here and do a bunch of shots. It's kind of, the save glitch is actually kind of simple, so I don't think I'll go over it in detail over every shot, but it's basically like, okay, let's go from here to there, and then we're here, and let's go there, and then there, and then, you know, stuff like that. It's pretty simple actually, but it just looks kind of complicated because it's just a lot of save glitch shots. And the way I actually did the save glitch was because you don't have the crosshair, and it's actually a lot more difficult to route save glitches if you don't have the crosshair. So I just did the save glitch like before I beat GLaDOS in like a test save, and then I just transferred over the inputs to the actual save, and it actually worked out nicely, which was rather surprising. So gonna get back into the video for a little bit. So it's the save glitch that isn't actually complicated, even though it looks like it. So right here I set up the portal up there, and then I save glitch on the orange there. And then that gets me to the parking lot, so I'm gonna show how that works. So I have the orange there, and the blue gets placed here. So then I move the orange there, right as I get save glitched, and then I'm save glitched on orange, so that I'm to the left of the orange and below it a bit. And then that then logically gets me to here. And then I'm a little bit, there's like a weird thing here where there's portable surface below the grass. So then I shoot the, I like pop out of the blue, and then I shoot the blue in another spot. So I pop out of the blue, then I shoot the, I actually shoot the left edge there. And then here I peek the blue portal there, so it's now on the same wall as the portal was before when I was doing the acute angle glitches, and I'm gonna do another one here into this portal. So I haven't actually figured out. So I have like the portal here. This angle is like super precise, so probably won't be able to replicate this even close. But I didn't really figure out the angles in this ever properly, but I sort of tried a bunch of different options and eventually it worked. So I don't know, maybe someone else can figure out the angles, but yeah. But you might be able to tell that there's a shit ton of distance between the orange and the blue. So then that teleports me all the way up here, I think. Yeah, tells me up here. And fortunately, this was one of the acute angle glitches where I didn't get save glitch, because if I would have gotten save glitch, I would have been in deep trouble, because there wasn't a way to get directly into the cake room. Might seem like kind of weird that I would be able to get there, but not here. But that was actually the case. This is how the map ended up working out. So I just had to go through all this section to get to the end. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The principle is of course the same for the acute angle glitch on how the teleport works. It just fires the anti-stuck code and then tries to reverse teleport, and then it teleports into a weird part of the map. But yeah, that's the Portal Inbound TAS, and I hope you liked it. Hope you also liked the in-depth commentary that I did. If you have any more questions about the run, you can ask them in the comments if I missed anything. Occasionally when you spend a lot of time with, you know, like a video game, you can often forget things that might not be obvious to other people. You just get used to them a lot. So if you have any questions, ask in the comments. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.